Well, good morning, guys. Welcome to Market Mondays. I'm going to give you guys a quick update on everything that's happened. Actually, this is Market Monthly, not Market Monday. Market Monthly. We're going to give you an update on everything that's happened since the last time we did a Market Monthly and just kind of put it all together, give you guys an idea of what's actually going on with the economy and what to expect. So, before we get right into it, we're going to do a quick dad joke for you. What's the best farm crop to vent to? The best farm crop to vent to. It is corn because they are all ears, all ears. Pew, pew. All right, so getting right into it, one thing we're going to go through real quick is what's going on with mortgage rates. This is the most, I guess, desired topic everyone wants to know about. And so, what's happened with mortgage rates, and how has it impacted the housing appreciation and all that stuff? So, first thing first is let me share my screen for you guys, and we're going to show you guys. Alrighty, so back in November, October timeframe, we saw the peak of mortgage rates around 7.5 to 8%, depending on where you were looking. Now, one of the reasons that was a cause of these inflation rates to get high is due to the Fed funds rate not being raised soon enough. So the reason why it turned when it did was that it was due to the Fed funds rate being raised in March of 2022, and then it takes about 6 to 9 months for it to impact the economy. And now we finally saw the turning point of inflation coming down. So that's why you saw this huge, huge drop on some of these due to these inflation reports coming out really desirably. But what happened since February and January was that, or specifically, I want to say in January, was that the January report that goes on the January numbers that go on the February report weren't as exciting. Unfortunately, some of the numbers slightly went up, which caused the yearly average to basically almost stay flat. So the thing with inflation is that it has pretty much a direct impact on mortgage rates. So mortgage rates pretty much were pretty good at basically beginning of February. They were in the low sixes, and then ever since then they kind of started going back up to closer to the high sixes, and even one day they were over 6%, just at the seven. However, what we feel in the next couple of weeks is that next week the big March report of inflation is going to be coming out, and two more other inflation reports will be coming out to show that, and hopefully inflation will be coming down and we'll start seeing this drop. Now, the other big thing that's going to be happening this week is the jobs report. So we have a big jobs report, and it shows that a lot of people have lost their jobs. Essentially, we may also see a really positive movement with mortgage rates specifically. Not so much positive for those people who lost their jobs, but trying to take the silver lining is where we can. But we did see a peak last week, probably the end of last week, when rates went up to about 7% and high sixes. So looks like they're have improved and on their way down. One of the things that caused it to be a turning point for mortgage rates is the Europe's inflation report that came out that gave us that improvement. Now, what has this done to housing and all that and everything that's happened with housing is that housing kind of like went to a different direction as far as being more of a buyer's market. The reason why that is that a lot of buyers got priced out in October, November. Basically, going from April to November, they got priced out because of high interest rates. Now, there was kind of a lot of movement starting in December and November when we saw these huge improvements in mortgage rates. So when we saw these big improvements in mortgage rates, people were more inclined to go back to the market and start buying. That's where we saw a lot of contracts. A lot of people started buying houses. Now it's kind of like eased off a little bit, but for the most part, as the year goes on, inflation will improve. So will mortgage rates. So as we're talking about inflation, let me show you guys what has happened with inflation in the last year. So if we look in the last 3 years specifically, this is basically the impacts of COVID. And as the economy recovered, inflation started rising, rising, rising. And you kind of see that inflation was already past 2% in April of 2021. To give you guys a perspective, the Fed wanted to average the inflation rate to be around 2%. We are already past that by April of 2021. And you can kind of see it went up more than 1% in a month, which is a lot for inflation. So, and then it peaked out around September of 2022, and now it's on its way down. Now, the thing about we saw this kind of a steeper drop, but we saw not as much of a steeper drop between January to February report. I'm expecting to see a relatively similar steeper drop like the one we had in between October to November, to February to March. So as inflation comes down again, mortgage rates are going to get better. A lot of people have heard these Fed rates have changed. Fed rate is actually a good thing for inflation. It's going to bring down inflation. So, however, it takes about 6 to 9 months. So to give you guys a perspective, March of 2022 is when the Fed did the first hike on the rate, on the Fed rate. And then it took up until basically 6 to 7 months later, maybe 8 months later, for inflation to actually start getting impacted and started coming down. So we're really excited to see these numbers get better because, again, mortgage rates will improve as well. Now, when it comes to home prices, what was tough about those home prices was that when rates went up, so home prices were coming down because they were losing buyers. So in order to bring buyers back, they were trying to bring down home prices so they can bring all the buyers back. So that's what kind of caused for the appreciation in the last quarter to be effectively flat. Like there wasn't much appreciation from quarter to quarter. If anything, there was some negative appreciation, but you also have to keep in mind there was the holidays. There was a lot of things going on at the end of the year. Mortgage rates were just coming down, so people were just now getting back into it compared to where they were at the beginning of the year. However, still, if you look in the last year, we're still at 10% appreciation on average across the entire nation, and that's really still really good. Average appreciation from 1960s is about 3 to 5%. So seeing numbers double than that, it's really good. So and 10%'s up there with when you want to get into a higher risk investment. But 10%'s really good on something you're going to live in anyway. Now, what's the plan moving forward in regards to what's going to happen over the next month? There was a big jobs report this Friday, and there's going to be an inflation report that comes out next week and at the end of the month, and some other ones. So there's three full inflation reports. This inflation report that you're looking at is just one of them, and it gets updated at the end of every month. So there's a lot going on over the next couple months, and that we're expecting again inflation to come down. Now, with inflation coming down, which means mortgage rates coming down, gonna bring back a lot of buyers. That means we're going to see a lot of people come back or start buying a house again just because rates are starting to improve. Now, for those who are buying a house now, I'm just telling what's going to happen is that in about 6 to 9 months, 10 months, even 2024, the forecast is to see 4% again or flow fives. So even if you're on a rate of a high sixes or 6.5, you're going to have an opportunity to refinance at the end at the end of this year of 2023 into 2024, where you may end up saving around 1% to 1.5% on your interest rate, potentially more if you wanted to buy down. Anyway, that's really all I got for you guys from the last month. We're really excited about this month and all the reports that are coming out. That's all I got for you guys.